Hello and welcome, my name is BuGGaTon at Boredgamer.co.uk and this is the Encyclopaedia Factorio. This entry we shall be discussing inserters. Inserters are totally essential in a factory. We build them right from the beginning of the game and use more and more of them all the way through right up into and beyond endgame. They can input and output ingredients simply by picking items up off the floor, transferring items to and from chests, on and off transport belts, into or out of train carriages, and between any of the aforementioned mediums. They are placed by selecting the item either from your inventory or hotbar and clicking in the desired location. You can rotate them by pushing R either before you place them or afterwards. It will pick up items and then place them in the direction denoted by the arrow. There are 5 types of inserters in the game and their functionality is all fairly similar. Burner inserters, long-handled inserters, fast inserters, and smart inserters. Helpfully, they're all a different colour to help you distinguish them by sight, although if you're colourblind like me, you might have some issues with the regular and smart inserters. Fortunately, late in the game, you'll not be needing any of the ordinary ones, so it's fine. You'll be able to craft burners and regular inserters straight away, but the other 3 require research to be built. Long-handled, fast, and smart inserters each require a Tier 1 research to use, namely automation, logistics, and electronics respectively. These are all Tier 1 researches requiring only the most basic Science Pack 1s or red pots as they're often called. The other research directly affecting inserters are the aptly named Inserter Item Stack Size Bonus 1, 2, 3, and 4. These increase the number of items an inserter can hold at once by 1 for each upgrade up to a maximum of 5. Note that inserters will only hold more than 1 item when transferring between containers such as assembly machines, cargo wagons, and chests, and will be limited to 1 at all times when either the input or output are a transport belt or the ground. These researches are tiers 2, 2, 3, and 4, needing red and green pots for the first 2, blue pots for the third, and purple pots, alien science packs, for the final tier. Moving on to the function of our lovely little friends. The most basic and probably the one we all start with are the burner inserters. These are very slow and require fuel to be input in order to function. All 4 others require electricity and can therefore be powered remotely. Burner inserters need any of the fuel types, wood, coal, or solid fuel to run, and chew through these at ludicrous rates. You'll notice that their power cost is considerably higher than that of other inserters, making them very inefficient, so consider not using them at all if coal or wood are scarce in your starting area. Burner inserters will fuel themselves though if the item they're transporting happens to be fuel itself. Whenever they're low enough, they'll simply top themselves up as a priority. Because burner inserters don't rely on the electrical network, many players use them to feed their boilers. When electric networks start slowing down due to the demand outweighing the supply, all units powered by the grid slow down in turn. This can bring your grid to a halt as electric-based inserters might suddenly not be able to keep up with the demand, decreasing output of energy and a vicious circle begins. Therefore, assuming fuel acquisition isn't your issue, burner inserters will continue unimpeded by your grid issues and your electrical network won't crash, simply slow down. Aside from this, move on quickly to the electric inserters for all other purposes. All inserters only use their advertised energy cost when they're actually active, but the electrical ones do require a small amount when not being used. That being said, this is completely negligible in both the short and the long run, being less than 1 kilowatt when inactive. The electricity, and therefore the coal used in the boilers to power these electric inserters, will be far, far less than the coal burnt in a burner inserter. On top of that, they're considerably better at the job than burners. Regular inserters offer a higher pace for a slightly higher cost. They're also the ingredient in the second tier of research, green pots or Science Pack 2s, as well as being required for the other 3 types of inserters. Long-handled inserters take in place not from adjacent tiles like all other inserters, but from 1 tile further away on both sides. Since assembly machines are 3x3, this would allow you to have 6 inputs or outputs on each side of a unit instead of 3. It also makes it easier to design for an assembly machine requiring more than 2 inputs, while still having a place to output when building machines in a row. Long-handled inserters are also nearly 50% faster than the regular ones, and possibly more than twice as fast as burners. Fast inserters are functionally identical to regular inserters with the added benefit of up to triple the insertion speed. Whilst they are quite expensive and laborious to produce en masse in the early stages of a factory, they quickly become your standard later on. On a side note, they're actually more efficient for the electric network per item transferred than their yellow counterparts. Take a look at this maths. Okay, that's enough maths. Finally, there are smart inserters. These are very expensive, but they are amazing. Speed-wise, they're identical to fast inserters.
I think you'll find they're actually fractionally slower.
Yes, you're not wrong. But they have 3 new awesome functions. By default, when you place a smart inserter, it will do nothing. It won't move anything at all because you need to tell it what to do. You can either set a filter, which will allow the smart inserter to pick up only specific items, up to 5 types. You could hook it up to the circuit network via red and green cables and smart chests, and then give it more specific conditions of when to work. But this sees limited usage in the current game due to the wonder and glory which is the logistic network. When connected to the logistic network, which means it needs to be in the orange footprint emanating from your roboports, you can give your inserters filters which can take into account how many whatever you want there are in any of the network that is covered by this orange footprint. If fewer than, say, 50, this inserter will activate. If greater than 50, this inserter will be dormant. You can set the conditions to more than, less than, equal to. It's up to you. Here is an example where I use both the circuit and logistic network in the same part of the factory. The red cables are linked up between these chests and the smart inserters. The smart inserter simply checks the chest to see if there are any items of this type inside it, and if there are 0, then the smart inserter will activate. This is a nice simple setup I am using to replace all of my standard yellow transport belts with the blue express belts, being that the ingredients require yellow to be turned into red and then blue. This setup forces my factory to use up all the old belts that I have been replacing before making new ones. The last thing that needs to be discussed is an interesting quirk of inserters and how they place items on transport belts. When placing onto a perpendicular belt, they will always place on the far side of it. If the belt is facing the same direction, then the inserter will place always to the right-hand side of the belt. Despite this, it's always possible to manipulate which side of the belt the product ends up on. Here's an example provided by Madzuri of how to manipulate belts in such a fashion. On the flip side, inserters will tend to take from the right-hand side of the belt if the belt is facing towards them, or the closer side if the belt is perpendicular. They will of course use both sides of the transport belt should they need to. And with that, that concludes our look at inserters. For more information regarding belts and the manipulation of which side items go on and such, please consult the entries on belts and balancers. Thanks for watching this edition of the Factorio Encyclopedia. If you have any questions, if you think I've left something out, or if you have any suggestions for new entries, then please leave a comment below or check out any one of the streams linked in the description. If you enjoyed us, please give us a like and subscribe to be one of the first to hear about new entries and videos. I've been BuGGaTon. Good evening.